Basic appraisal procedures, page 84. Value. Value is the worth of the investment. This is how much someone is willing to pay for a piece of real estate at a given moment in time. Here, the value is dependent on the expected future income of the property and other anticipated benefits. It is only expected because everyone could move out when their leases are up. But an investor can be reasonably sure that if a property's rents are fair in the marketplace, then the income stream is likely to continue in the future, minus vacancy and collection losses. Final reconciliation of the three approaches to value. As we reviewed each of the appraisal approaches, you could see some of the advantages and disadvantages to each. Each of these strengths and weaknesses also make any of the value approaches more or less suitable for particular kinds of real estate. The choice of which analysis is applicable and which is not is determined in the scope of work decision. The reliability, relevance, and overall strength of the valuation methods that have been developed are determined in the final reconciliation. Standards Rule 1 through 6 of USPAP requires the appraiser, in addition to reconciling each approach, to reconcile the applicability and suitability of the approaches used to arrive at the value conclusion. Here, the appraiser will use analysis and judgment to determine which approach or approaches to give most weight or credence to. What analysis, based on the scope of work, provides the appraiser with the most credible value conclusion. Here the appraiser looks at the strengths and weaknesses of the methods developed and makes decisions based on the scope of work as to which method or methods provides the best indication of value for the subject property. Use of the three approaches. You may have noticed we always refer to the value of the subject property as an opinion or estimate. It is important to remember, even with all the extensive research and analysis that goes into appraisal, we are only able to estimate, not determine, the value of a property, as value is always an opinion. Only the marketplace can truly tell us the value of a piece of real estate. Nevertheless, appraisal is still an important function that allows us to compare the relative worth of different properties. Even if we cannot determine an absolute value, we can still make relative comparisons. These comparisons are enhanced by the knowledge. Page 85. And experience of the appraiser. Sometimes appraisers use multiple value approaches, as one can serve as a check against the others. Let's look at the specific advantages and disadvantages of each appraisal approach. Sales comparison approach. The sales comparison approach is generally considered one of the most reliable methods of valuation for most property types, as long as there is sufficient and relevant market data available. Its biggest advantage is it relies on information deeply rooted in marketplace activity. Furthermore, it uses market extracted data to make adjustments to closed and comparable sales so they more closely approximate the actual features and conditions of the subject property. The main disadvantage of the sales comparison approach is it requires solid property data. A credible sales comparison analysis cannot be performed without this data. Because of this, the sales comparison approach may not be suitable for special purpose properties like schools, churches, etc., and other unusual or unique properties for which there is a lack of scarcity of sales data to analyze. Cost approach. The cost approach is a very useful and reliable method of determining an opinion of value for special purpose properties. Schools, churches, and other unique properties can be analyzed this way, depending on the scope of work. The cost approach can be detailed and extensive. The cost approach is also excellent for new properties and for insurance purposes. The main disadvantage of the cost approach is the cost of a building does not necessarily equal its value. Anyone looking at the cost approach in an appraisal must keep in mind there are a number of market factors to take into account to make an accurate estimate of value. Among the cost approach methods, those using costing services and other market extracted data often provide for best value estimates when the property being analyzed is a common structure. The quantity survey method is the most detailed and accurate for value estimates when the property is a unique structure. However, special expertise is typically required for developing cost by this method. Income approach. The income approach is most useful when analyzing income producing properties, such as commercial or investment real estate, or properties that have income producing potential. The main advantage to the income approach is it lets us analyze the value of future income and performance. The income approach, though, is less reliable for some properties because of lack of relevant market data. The gross